Hey guys, it's your friendly neighborhood Dasher back again with season 13 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And today we are talking about episode 2, New Peach in the Orchard. So if you're ready, let's get into it. So the episode starts at Moore Manor, and I thought we were doing more construction, but no, today is just a wine party. There was actually a lot of wine throughout this whole episode, and I feel, out of place because I ain't got no wine up in here. I don't even have juice. I just got water, but it's okay. It's all right. We're moving forward. And we're soon introduced to LaToya, who is the newest friend to the show. She's brought in as Candy's friend, but Kenya quickly steals her because they seem to have, I guess, more in common. We quickly find out that LaToya is a walking Trinidadian dictionary. And when she turned to Kenya and said, "How is it dating a Trinidadian man or like being married to one?" I was like, who's a Trinidadian man? I remember Nigerians on the show a few years back. Trini man. I said, was there a man in between? Like what? And then I realized, I guess LaToya was like, Mark is Trinidadian. I didn't even know that. So that was something new for me to learn. I mean, I guess the whole island vibe of it. I'm half Guyanese, so I sort of identify with the island vibe, even though I know South America, which is where Guyana is the only English-speaking country there. And even though we are technically a part of the continent, not our own island, we still identify with the whole island vibe and the Caribbean thing. But that's neither here nor there. Kenya and LaToya really just seem like kindred spirits. We learned that LaToya is living with her husband, who she's separating from. And as you know, Kenya is pursuing legal action, or is potentially pursuing legal action with Mark in regards to dissolving their marriage. So they seem to be having a lot in common. So, and they also seem to have a really good bond because Kenya doesn't normally get along with the new girls that they bring in. And it was just nice to see her warm up to somebody initially and show that side of her that we really like as viewers. The episode then moves to Portia, talking about her life after the arrest and the jail conditions. I really take my hat off to Portia because I don't do jail. But I'd like to think that if I ever did jail, it would be for a noble cause such as social activism. So good job, Portia, and keep doing the good fight for all of us. Next, we get into the introduction of Drew Sidora, and I'm actually so excited to see Drew Sidora this year. I felt the show had needed a change up for a while, so the introduction of LaToya and Drew brings some really good new energy to the show. So that's really, really exciting. The only thing I really knew Drew Sidora for, though, is she was on that show, The Game, back in the day on CW, and then they took it over to BET. But I only knew her as the heifer that took Derwin from Melanie and down the road of cheatation. So, I was mad about it, and we come to find out later in the episode, so was LaToya. So, that's where I knew her from. Now, I wouldn't try to, accost her on the street, but I could see why. Sometimes when you play a character and you play it well, people latch onto it, and that becomes your life going forward. So on one hand, kudos to you, Drew, for playing a side piece so well, and on the other hand, girl, watch out in Atlanta because these people ain't playing. Anywho, I really, really love that show. It's actually on Netflix now, so y'all should check it out. Wendy Raquel Robinson plays Tasha Mack. Favorite character ever. I'm actually gonna binge watch it after this. Anywho, she's super shady and we love it. They seem to start weaving in a little bit of the tension between she and Kenya off the bat, just in terms of like their ages in the entertainment industry. So that was a little bit of foreshadowing for future events that may unfold throughout the season. Drew has a husband named Ralph, and then it moves instantly to her family, her children, her husband, and the mom, who's a pastor, Pastor Jeanette. And I don't know if y'all caught that part where she was talking about how they'll be having some husband and wife time, and the mama comes in and she just like, oh, your husband naked behind up in the air, and you shout out, oh. I was like, all right, girl, you need to invest in locks. It's okay. Mama needs to learn how to knock on the door. She'll be okay. But could y'all really tell that she was sort of giving off low-key Mama Joyce vibes, just in the fact that she seemed very opinionated, very alpha female, protective of her young, and just very willing to speak her mind at any point in time, which is wonderful. We love it. So like no shade meant whatsoever, but To me, it looks like Mama Joyce and Pastor Jeanette could be quick friends, honey. So look out for that. We'll see what happens there. We then go to the COVID-19 update with Candy at Riley's graduation. I don't know if y'all caught that with COVID-19, which is my new official term for COVID. I love Mama Joyce. She's always given us really good moments that we can latch on to. But it was interesting just seeing how COVID affected schooling and the graduations. You know, I'm not in school. I'm super far removed from it. But it was just interesting to see the 6 feet separation at the graduation, it being outdoors. You can only invite 2 people, you know, with you to celebrate that special day. And so just really interesting to see. Also, kudos to Riley, who we've seen grow up in front of our screen. So proud of her, you know, coming from being that small, shy child, you know, in the background, just trying to live her life, to now this boss woman who's taking over, going to NYU, becoming an entertainment attorney. It's just really great to see the growth. We feel almost like we were there with her this entire time. So it's kind of like a source of pride for us all. It then goes back to Portia and Miss Diane, who, can we just take a moment to just celebrate how fly Miss Diane looks? They always say that if you look at a woman and you look at her mother, and you see, you know, how fly she is, you can basically see how the daughter is going to look in the future. And so based on that, Portia girl, you have nothing to fear because your mom is so beautiful. Such a nice spirit as well. Portia is basically just trying to organize her general and business life, following her activism work. So that was interesting to see. Also that she's having the same sort of issues with Dennis, just in regards to them trying to figure out their engagements. Always beware of long engagements. Sometimes they're good to flesh things out, but sometimes they're indicative of problems that maybe should result in the engagement not being continued. So hopefully Portia is able to work it out. But as always, if it's not working for you and it's not a good situation where you're the best version of yourself for yourself and your daughter, you should, you know, work to separate and just co-parent. But always take what I say with a grain of salt, because I am a bitter man and I'm fiercely independent. So I'm always going to pick the option where it's like, it's you and me. It's you and me. And if you doing me wrong, then I need to go. And maybe that's a problem I got to work on. And y'all pray for me. Anywho, we then move over to the Lake Bailey get-together, and I hope to one day be invited to one of Cynthia's get-togethers. They look really good. The food looks nice. She always has a nice little theme. Everything was set up real nice. She had her assistant, you know, tasting the food and making sure everything was looking good. LaToya came to play. She was shading through the door, and you either see the friends to the show or the housewives, they either come in hot or cold. Either, you know, they warm up very, it's like a slow burn, or they're, you know, right out the gate, they are shading everyone, and LaToya is in the shade everyone category. Because I'm thinking she all sweet when she talking to Kenya and Cynthia over at Kenya's house, and then she comes in talking about everything, okay? So we might have to keep a little eye on her because she's a little firecracker, which is good. The interaction between Marlo and Kenya was hilarious as always. There's so much underlying tension between those two, and it's just comedic because, but I think at the core, Marlo really likes Kenya. And but Kenya is like one of those people, she's sort of like me. Like, once you attack me, I'm always going to be on the guard with you. I'm never going to fully let my guard down because I'm going to stay on ready for what you're bringing towards me next time. So Marlo was giving a little bit of fun shade, and Kenya was really not having it, but she was trying to keep it cute because she did not want to ruin Cynthia's events. Did y'all catch when Marlo was talking about how she didn't think that she had a sugar daddy? All I have to say is that, girl, if you pay for your house, your Aston Martin, your mama's house, your mama's car, and you had to exchange sex to get there, he's kind of your sugar daddy. But own it. I mean, own it. Don't ever be embarrassed of anything that you've done in life to get to where you need to get to, provided that where you got to was somewhere good and you didn't hurt anybody in the process. Got to give that disclaimer. But anywho, I really just love how playful Kenya and Latoya are. It just seemed like a really, really good interaction with her, pulling her hair and them doing like the slightly suggestive dialogue. Mike in the background looking crazy. Cynthia, make sure you watch Mike because he was looking a little bit too into that whole little scene that they had going on there. But just as I was thinking that Kenya had turned a new leaf and she was being nice to the new girls, Drew Sidora walks in, and then that whole tension that we saw earlier when Cynthia and Drew had sat down talking about Kenya and whether or not she knew her, it just seemed to reappear with Kenya's actions towards Drew. It just seemed very standoffish, I guess is a nice way to put it. She didn't seem to be very thoroughly impressed with Drew walking in, and if they didn't have any prior interactions, I don't really see the need to shade somebody off the jump. But I guess Kenya picks and chooses who's going to be her friend and who's going to be her foe each season. And then my girl Latoya came through talking about how she didn't like Drew because of the game, which I told y'all earlier. I totally understand it. But I don't know if you also peeped the low-key tension between Drew and Latoya. So hopefully that doesn't really play out badly. Normally when the new people come in, you sort of want them to be, have allies and stuff. But it seems like the new girls might be beefing. I don't know. Might be a whole Drew versus Kenya versus Latoya thing. So we'll see how the season unfolds. Mike and Ralph had a bonding moment. Because I was wondering why Ralph was there. None of the other husbands were there. I mean, Mike was there because, he's with Cynthia and stuff, but I was like, why is Ralph there? But it was really just to position us for the future interactions on the show. I really felt that he fell and bumped his head when he was talking about leaving for a few days. I had watched the previews for the show, so I knew they were going to get into this later, but just the mindset of thinking that the best way to resolve an argument is to disappear. Like, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's good to get away for a few hours, clear your head, but you can't disappear for days at a time and think that everything's going to be okay. It just doesn't work that well. We're then transported to the ladies just drinking wine and chopping it up. They had the whole conversation of separated versus divorce with Drew and Latoya. Once again, there's tension between those two. And it just seems like it might be an argumentative thing going on, but they kept it really, it was a nice debate. It didn't get nasty. So that was good, because we don't need another sit down dinner argument, which always seems to be the case when they sit down for these dinners. Somebody's wig's gonna get pulled, somebody's gonna get a drink poured in their face. It might go left. I loved when Kenya and Cynthia went in and just started talking about how she was going to approach dissolving her partnership with Mark. My mom always taught me that when you're building a house, you start with pieces. So you start with the blueprints, then you get your construction supplies going down. You start with the electrician, you get the water stuff, the pipes and all that. And so you just layering it on. And then eventually the house is built. So I feel like that's how Kenny is approaching this. She's going the road of least contention. Or maybe like least surprise, by just starting with getting a custody arrangement in place and then moving from there and building up so that, not as to create a huge blow up at first by serving him with full divorce papers. She's doing it piecemeal, which is really, really good. Next, we're transported over to Drew and Ralph's house. They're having a nice little anniversary celebration. I was hoping that this would go good, but just based on the little nuggets and pieces that they were sprinkling in, it seemed like it was going to start well and then it was going to go left, which it did. But the food looked good. Nice little chicken quarter pieces with some potatoes, and it looked like Ralph had some salmon, so that made me hungry. I might do some in my air fryer later, but that's besides the point. And once again, it comes back. The Ralph likes to disappear, and that's really a problem for Drew. Did y'all catch when Ralph said that black men basically like to get away when they're stressed? That's such a blanket statement to put over all black men. I'm a black man. I'm a black gay man. And I wouldn't say that I'd like to get away when I'm in a stressful situation or when I'm in a combative situation. I feel like everyone's different. So to me, it was wrong to put that blanket statement over all black men. Honestly, when I get into an argument or a tense situation, I shut down, because to me, when you're in an argument with somebody, what they want is your energy. So I give you nothing. I pay you dust, dirt devil. And like, that's basically how I operate. I give you absolutely nothing. So trying to call that over all black men and tie it into you trying to, build generational wealth for your family. And he tried to do a really good job of going around the issue, but Drew brought it right back around, if you guys caught it. It just seemed like he was just very evasive. He wouldn't answer the questions correctly. And then she finally gets out of him that he went to Tampa. So I asked Alexa, because, I like to do my research for these videos, honey. I like to make sure that I have all the details for you children. And Atlanta is 450 miles by car to Tampa. So how much clearing of your head were you doing? Like, I'm confused. If I get into an argument and I'm trying to clear my head, I damn sure ain't driving 450 miles. Like, who does that? So, Drew, I don't know. I think that it's good that y'all have been added to the show because it's a new drama. And, hopefully it doesn't play out very badly. Because to me, if you drive 450 miles outside of your residence to another state, there is something in that state that you're driving to. And that's just me. May not be. Maybe he got a really big head and he just really needs to clear it out. I don't know. And then it sort of took a whole, I don't know if y'all remember that movie. It was, it's like a horror movie called Glass House, and it was technology based where he was like, watching her while she slept, and, it was just very invasive. But when they were talking about earlier in the show how Ralph is in technology, and then it's brought up that Ralph has cameras all around the house. So he's miles away clearing his head in Tampa, and he can look on his phone and see what Drew's doing with her mama and the children. And so it just seemed very, very scary, very big brother-ish, very controlling. And he just wasn't having it in terms of talking about it. And that just caused Drew to not be able to deal with what was being thrown at her. And she just said, listen, if you're not going to be truthful and you're going to try to make me look crazy in front of these cameras, I'm just going to walk off, because this is not a fruitful conversation and we're not getting anywhere. So I don't see anything wrong with that. But that's how you walk away, okay? That's how you walk away, and that's how you disappear. You disappear to another room in your house, okay? She ain't jump in her car. She didn't drive to Baltimore, which that would have been more than 450 miles away, but that's fine. All I can say, I wrote a note here, girl, run, okay? I just see red flags. They say that marriages have a 7-year itch. Y'all are at 6. It seems like y'all itch may be coming just a little bit early, just a little bit. And just, girl, beware of the pretty face man, okay? Lauryn Hill taught us that. And I think that's really all I had to discuss for this episode. It gave us a lot to talk about. So great episode, great lead into the season. Hopefully we see all of these various stories play out, and I'm excited for what's to come next. So anywho, guys, if you liked what I did, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also follow me on Instagram at DatDamnDasher. And I will see you guys later. Talk to you soon. Bye.